I don't know if I don't know if I would still be around if it weren't for my parents. Sometimes being supported instead of being told you suck, giving people support at their lowest, sometimes you'll get good results if you support them. The world would be a beautiful place if people were more empathetic.
Let's start a podcast about our mental health for no good reason why. Let's call it Mind Cake.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another slice of Mind Cake. It's the podcast where we talk honestly about mental health, life loss, and the stuff nobody quite knows how to say out loud. Without the therapy speak, without all the inspirational quotes, sometimes a bit of woo-woo, but again, Paul's not here today, so you're spared for another week. We just try and have real conversations with people who have been through it. I'm Lee Crompton, and today's episode exists because of a listener. His name is John Hannah. Not that John Hannah, the real John Hannah, the other one. John recommended a 25-minute Netflix documentary called The Turnaround. It's about a Philadelphia Phillies superfan who asked 45,000 fellow fans to do something that went against every instinct they had. I watched it, then I tracked down the man behind it. Today's guest is Jon McCann, Phillies superfan, YouTuber, and the subject of that documentary. But this episode isn't really about baseball. It's about what happens when someone chooses to support you at your lowest point instead of just piling on. It's about a breakdown, a mental institution, and the unconditional love of two parents that kept their son going when nothing else could. And it's about a cracked bell in Philadelphia that turns out to be a better metaphor for survival than anything I could have come up with myself. So, let's check that oven and grab ourselves another slice of Mind Cake. Okay, so today, Mind Cakers, I am very excited because I've been trying to get him on for a while. He's a very elusive man. Mr. Jon McCann, how are you?
I'm feeling very elusive, but not too elusive because you got a hold of me today, and I am happy to be doing this with you.
No, I'm delighted you're on, John. For those who don't know, I heard of John after the, I have to say, remarkable documentary on Netflix called The Turnaround.
So the movie is The Turnaround. It's on Netflix. It's 25 minutes long. You've seen it 3 times, which I've only seen it 5.
Okay.
So that's how good of a movie it is. People have watched it multiple times, and it's only 25 minutes long. The movie is about how 2 years ago or 3 years ago, there was a baseball player who the Phillies signed to a really lucrative contract. His name was Trey Turner, and he signed a 10-year or 11-year, $330 million contract.
Wow.
And the year prior, the Phillies were in the World Series. And they were just, it felt like they were one piece away from winning the World Series. And we thought when the Phillies signed Trey Turner, that would be it. We would, be the best team in baseball. We have Trey Turner, we have Bryce Harper. Unfortunately, Trey Turner had, I think, like the worst 4 or 5 months of his career when he started his career in Philadelphia. And Philadelphia sports fans around the world have a bad reputation. We're pretty much known to be brutal fans. As a matter of fact, at the world premiere of the movie The Turnaround was at the Telluride Film Festival. And when you go to this film festival, they have all these movie stars who are in all these movies, and they take a picture in a group photo. And I met Robbie Williams, the British singer. He had that movie out, and his movie was premiering at the film festival.
With him as a monkey.
And it was the monkey movie, exactly.
Monkey one, yeah.
So I'm in this group photo with Robbie Williams, Will Ferrell, Angelina Jolie. And I like the one song Robbie Williams has, Millennium. I remember that song. I used to listen to. So I walked up to him and I said, "Yo, cuz, you don't know who I am. I know who you are. I'm never going to have this time to talk to you. So I just want to say hello." And I told him the premise of the movie. I was like, "Yeah, the movie I'm in, I'm a Philadelphia sports fan, and we boo our players." And what I did was, instead of booing Trey Turner, I made a social media post calling on all Philadelphia fans to give Trey a standing ovation
Hmm.
for not just one at bat, but for the entire weekend, because he was playing so bad. I knew the Philadelphia sports fans
Yeah.
were going to boo him. And Robbie Williams looked at me and goes, "Oi, mate, you blokes are really hostile in Philly." And I was like, I love that he knew that about Philadelphia sports fans. So what, and that's what happened. I made that post. I said, "Hey, let's do a standing ovation for Trey all weekend long." And we did. And he turned his season around. And the Phillies missed the World Series by a game.
Hmm.
But, it shows that no matter who you are and what you're going through, sometimes being supported instead of being told you suck or you're not a good person or you're bad at your job, giving people support at their lowest, sometimes you'll get good results if you support them.
Hmm. I say I've watched it 3 times now. I watched it again this morning because I knew I was going to talk to you. That moment when I mean that it's just very cinematic. I love the whole thing. I love, we'll get onto your story as well as part of the documentary. But that moment, that very first standing ovation, it gives me goosebumps.
Ah, that's
Presumably
awesome.
you were in the stadium.
What I do for a living is I'm a YouTuber. So
Okay.
I document my life every day. I've been doing it for about 7 years. Every
Uh-huh.
day I make a video, and a lot of my videos are at the baseball stadium. I go to about 50 to 80 baseball games a year, and I make a vlog about it. So I was there the entire weekend for the standing ovation. You could see everybody sitting with me. They're all my friends. We sit
Yeah.
together almost every game. They're all wearing Trey Turner jerseys. Word was getting around on the radio stations and people were talking about it on social media. Word was getting around that people were going to be doing this standing ovation thing. I thought it would be like maybe 5,000 people who would do it, but when the whole stadium did it, it was a pretty cool thing. I have a friend who watches every game with me, and after it happened, he said that has to be one of the coolest things an athlete has to experience, like performing poorly and getting that standing ovation. After it happened, Trey Turner bought billboards around the city thanking the fans. He gave interviews saying he thought it was awesome that it happened. So yeah, it was great. It wasn't I didn't expect it to become a movie. I didn't expect it to become on Netflix. I kind of just did the thing
Yeah.
because my favorite place on earth is the Philly Stadium during the playoffs. There's no it's almost like a football match, as you folks say over there. The crowd is alive and electric, and there's chants, and there's nothing quite like it.
Hmm. I just wonder because I mean, there's bits of the documentary in there where there's clips of you shouting at Ben Simmons.
Yes,
So presumably
yes.
you were part of that cohort that was booing fans and getting on their backs and whatever. So
Oh yeah.
what changed? And you talk about that in the documentary about being maybe derived from your dad and seeing him do that kind of thing. And so when was the moment you went, hang on a minute, let's
Okay.
give this let's give this guy a break and try and
So
do something different.
I'm in a group text with three other friends of mine who go to baseball games.
Hmm.
And I have a friend named Todd. And Todd's featured in all my YouTube videos. And he is the storybook idea of a Philadelphia fan.
Okay.
Before I made that video, the Phillies had a game in Miami, and Trey Turner had such a bad game. His mistake cost the Phillies the game. I am admittedly I'm a horrible texter. I am so bad at texting. My friend Todd sent 20 text messages to this chat, and it was like, Trey Turner sucks. Trey Turner's garbage. I'm not even rooting for the Phillies no more. He's worthless. I can't believe you guys are going to cheer for him. And then in the middle of his tirade about how bad Trey Turner was,
Yeah.
he wrote, I got to be honest. I feel bad for his mental health. You could tell something's really off with the guy.
Mm-hmm.
When I saw that in the text message, it made me think about just seeing the words mental health.
Mm-hmm.
It made me think about when in 2012 I was going through a divorce. My wife was leaving me. She was possibly taking the kids. I had a nervous breakdown and I was put into a mental institution.
Mm-hmm.
While that was happening, my life was falling apart. But the only people who really supported me at the time were my parents. So my parents showed me unconditional love and support. I just remember that. And I don't know if I would still be around if it weren't for my parents that one year where everything was bad. Bad was happening to me. So I decided to make that video because, I thought it would help the team. I thought if we applauded Trey instead of booing him, the Phillies would have a good homestand. The Phillies had like 11 games in a row at home.
Mm-hmm.
And I just wanted the stadium to be positive and not negative. Yeah, and that's what I did. And and that will be the only time ever do that. Sometimes whenever there's a Philadelphia sports player doing something poorly, fans will like tag me on Twitter or Instagram like, "Hey, you got to do another standing ovation." And I'm like, "You don't understand. I can't top the last one.
Yeah.
I can never do that again."
I mean, it is unbelievable when, for someone, like I say, I think when we were chatting beforehand, I've only ever seen one baseball game live.
Okay.
Obviously, I know the basics of baseball, but I wouldn't say I'm a fan.
Sure.
But watching that, I mean, he was awful.
Yes.
When you see him beforehand, and then seeing that, as it's called, the turnaround. I mean, it's remarkable. And I'm just looking at I was looking at the credits at the end of the film. So you had a career best 16 home runs in the 2 months after the ovation started.
Mm-hmm.
It's a beautiful documentary. For me, what I wanted to get you on is, one, your story is remarkable. The story of the turnaround is remarkable. And I just wonder, as a wider society, what does that mean if we actually just took that lesson, if you like, into whether it be parenting, whether that be relationships, work colleagues, or whatever, just generally.
If society was more empathetic when
Yeah.
people were going through a tough time, the world would be a beautiful place if people were more empathetic. But people aren't, it's just a reality of the world. Most people don't care about you. But if you have a good core of friends and a nice family, you're going to be okay in life. I think that's important. But yeah, it would be nice if people were more empathetic. I have a grandson he's 3 years old and he's autistic. He's taught me patience. Like sometimes you go to places and you hear people screaming or you hear people yelling or you see kids running around. You get annoyed. It's just human nature. You get annoyed. Why is this kid screaming? But having my grandson, I just got more empathy now. I've also been in therapy for over a decade, and I would describe myself as very feral. I was raised by teenagers who, they were kids themselves, so they didn't really know what they were doing. I was kind of raised on TV, so like weird things would happen. Like if I ever would get a girlfriend, I would always act socially awkward around the father because that's what they did in sitcoms. So I didn't know how to live life. It was really so decades of therapy taught me, to be empathetic and to understand that if a car's going slow in front of you in a rainstorm, don't be mad at that person. That person
Mhm.
probably has bad brakes or tires. You don't know what they're going through. Saying that, it's easy to say all these things to be empathetic and understanding, but if I'm sitting in traffic and you're going slow, I may curse at you.
Yeah, no, well, I think that's what came across at the beginning of the documentary. I thought, you're so relatable and something that I could see myself in you in that, it sounded like you were very something again you'd had from a very early age. You were very hard on yourself if you made a mistake. But you
Yes,
were equally very hard on others if you made a mistake. And like you say, coming into like patience is a huge thing with me. I don't have any of it,
right.
and if people are getting on my pip, then I tend to let them know. As the documentary goes on, and like you say, now as you've got grandkids and I've got my kids now, they're 3 and they're not 3. What am I talking about? They're 6 and 9.
Okay.
Um,
There's a 3 years difference.
3 years difference, sorry. And yeah, they do teach you things. And one question I was going to ask was,
Uh-huh.
if you could bottle what happened in that stadium in a kind of Molotov cocktail of love and
Yeah.
and apply it to one area of the world right now,
Uh,
where would you throw it, John?
uh, man, I wish the United States government would be a little bit more empathetic. Um, I don't know. I don't know if I don't pay. I recently did a 3 week tour of the United States in a van.
Were
A
you not
friend of
doing Route 66?
I did it. I did it. I
Yeah.
did it. I had a friend of mine. His name was Adam the Woo, and he was a very famous Disney YouTuber who also traveled the country. He was like the original Disney YouTube guy.
Okay.
He passed away in December. They had this big party for him in California last 2 weekends ago.
Hmm.
And to pay tribute to my friend, I drove Route 66 and I traveled the United States, kind of like what he would do. I learned a lot about the country. Like I stopped watching the news. That's what
Yeah.
happened. I stopped watching the news, and I haven't really been paying attention for the last 3 weeks. But apparently, we're in a new war. Yeah, I would love the United States government to be a little bit more empathetic
Hmm.
to everybody. It's not going to happen for another few years, but it breaks my heart to. I feel like America. Not to get too political, but I feel like we're bullies right now, and I don't like it.
I was kind of hoping that's where you were going to throw your Molotov cocktail of love, but I try not to watch the news because it's depressing.
Here's the thing. I can't change anything happening in the world. Like I can't stop whatever wars are happening, gas prices going up. But what I can control is the way my family feels. I can make sure my friends are happy. I can even make my audience happy on YouTube by making content.
Hmm.
But there's nothing I can do watching the news. The only thing that does to me is make my anxiety go up.
Yeah,
So doing this road trip, I learned that you don't have to pay attention to everything, and the world will still spin around the sun, and you could just try to make the world a happy place in your own way.
absolutely. Near the end of the documentary, your words, which I think just sum it up perfectly. It's nice to be nice sometimes.
Sometimes, right now,
Sometimes.
Philadelphia sports fans, we can't be nice. Like when Ben Simmons comes back to Philadelphia, I have to remind him he stinks and nobody likes him. If I see Alex Rodriguez of the New York Yankees, who is a cheater, if I see him walking around the stadium, I will yell at him. It's my job. I yell at athletes and people who are universally hated on the internet. Uh, but I have a good time with it, and I try to make people laugh. And I
Hmm.
don't go after like family members or your wife left you because you stink. I wouldn't say anything like that. Like
No, I think there's a line there. I mean, I know some of the we have similar issues. I would never take my daughters to a Premier League football match. Some of the things that are said and yelled are just not.
Like
Awful.
we have the NFL in America, and I would take my grandson, I would take him to a baseball game,
Mm,
but I wouldn't take him to a football game or
no,
American football.
American
Sorry,
football.
sorry,
Yeah,
sorry about that. Yeah, I got
yeah,
to throw the American in it. Uh, there's a lot of alcohol. There's a lot of drinking. People
yeah.
say some things. You might be a fight, but I know that. So
Hmm, hmm.
but maybe one day when he gets a little bit older, I'll take him. But some stuff isn't meant for kids,
No,
and the prices of the sporting events across the country are outrageous. Everything has gone up. You used to be able to go to a baseball game for 15 quid, and now
good.
now it's now it's the cheapest ticket's like $40.
Oh, really?
And yeah, it's really, and like we got the FIFA World Cup coming here,
Yeah.
and tickets are going for like $700, and I'm like, I just don't know who's bringing a family to a sporting event these days.
Well, no, that's it, isn't it? I mean, with the increased cost of living, it's whether even eating out. If you want a day out now of just eating out, having a meal, going to whatever, a museum or an event, a show or whatever. I mean, you just can't
Mhm.
afford to do it these days because it's suddenly you've spent 200 quid.
Sure, sure. Yeah, yeah. The Ringling Brothers Circus is in town. Tickets start at $50.
Yeah.
So you got a family of four, that's
Hmm.
$200.
Yeah.
Then you have to pay the park. Then you have to buy the soda. So
Snacks. Yeah.
yeah,
Snacks.
it's and then you got to buy the souvenirs. So you're
Hmm.
looking at a $500 day
Yeah.
for a
Yeah.
family of four to go out, and that's just the way of the world these days, and
Hmm.
it's kind of it's brutal.
Yeah. Yeah. But I think, like you say, I would urge anyone who hasn't seen the turnaround to see it. It's like I say, it's on Netflix. It's only 25 minutes, and like you say, if some of that rubbed off into everyday life at grassroots level, and we we built people up rather than and encouraged people rather than being critical and divisive and cynical, then I think, like you say, and I think the world needs it more than ever at the minute, John.
Yeah, I agree with you. I really think the world, uh, we all need to be a little bit empathetic in a world where it just feels like everything is just like, I don't know about you guys over in over the pond, but like everything seems like it's getting less and less people oriented. Like when you go shopping in stores in America, we
Yeah.
no longer have cashiers.
Hmm.
You got to ring yourself out, and it's just like contact with human beings. I don't know. I feel like it's going away. Humanity, it's just weird. Like humanity, we're losing it, and everybody's like living in their phones and they're looking down. And there's a great big world out there. I find most human beings are really nice people if you sit there and talk to them.
Yeah.
And I learned that traveling the country, that most people they'll sit and have a conversation with you, and they'll have a they'll tell you a story, and people are okay. Most people are okay. There's some jerks out there.
But but it's interesting what you're saying, that I saw a study recently whereby I say kids, people of a certain age, when you say,
Uh-huh.
well, it becomes ingrained in them by virtue of the fact that if, like you said about using your supermarket analogy, younger people of a certain age would rather queue for one of the automated checkouts
Mhm.
than go to a cashier, like a human cashier, who's
Right.
free,
Right.
because that's how they've grown up. That's what they're not. They're more comfortable just doing it with a machine and not actually interacting with anyone, rather than having to go to a human and strike up conversation.
Yeah. I'm kind of guilty of that myself with when it comes with the phone. Like
Mm,
if you try to call me, I will never answer, but if you text me, I will respond. It's funny growing up. I grew up before the time of a cell phone. You would just have a hard line in your house, and getting a phone call was like one of the highlights of the day. Where now, if my phone rings, I'm like, who is this jerk? But I do like some human interaction, but I do feel like in Philadelphia right now, we have robot taxis, we have robot delivery people. We're just like losing we're losing humanity.
Oh,
But
I saw a documentary again, and I do watch other documentaries as well as the turnaround.
how dare you?
I know, I'm sorry about that, John. Um, and I can't remember where it was in America, but there was this, I'm going to say, vigilante group
Yes.
who were going round waiting for the driverless Ubers.
Yes, Waymos they're called.
Okay. And they were like basically sticking gaffer tape over their sensors so they couldn't move because they're stranded. Because the interesting thing
Yes.
was they were saying was that 80% of the time, these things are just driving round on a loop with nobody in them, just waiting to pick somebody up.
Yes.
So they're driving
Yeah.
round and round and round. So it was interesting. They'll wait till they get to like a red light, and then they'd run out with these balaclavas on, and were sticking tape over the sensors, and that
Mhm.
would just knacker it. And then the next one would come along and wouldn't know what to do. So it was like two or three parked in the street behind each other. And yeah, I don't know how we've got onto driverless taxis, John. But anyway,
But it's all right. No, it's a neat thing. And just remember, every time you do something with a robot, when a human being's available
mm,
in the future, that human being won't be there because
no,
robots are taking over. Yeah, I
mm.
don't know how we got to the empathy story until I hate robots, but I think well, it's good to know. You know, if you go shopping, go to a cashier,
Go
or
to a
if you're in,
cashier
what do you
and
call it? A loo? A loo? What do you call a line?
a queue.
A queue, a queue.
A
That's
queue.
right.
A loo is where you go to the
That,
toilet.
a toilet. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Isn't
Mm.
that? Do you ever wait in the queue for a loo? Does that ever happen?
Oh yeah.
Oh wow. Okay. It's just like the most British conversation I've ever had. This is
Oh yeah.
great.
No, we love queuing.
You guys call them park. You guys call them car parks and not parking lots. We call them parking lots.
Yeah, car
And I,
parks. Yeah.
yeah, car parks make more sense to me.
Hmm.
But you guys started the English language, so I guess you guys should be better at it than
Yeah, we
us.
started it, John. So
Yes.
um,
Isn't
but
it funny? Like your accent and my accent, like somewhere, like I am a part of you. Like I'm Irish, so but it's it's we're kissing cousins, right? At one point, my people sounded like you, and then somehow it morphed into whatever the hell I sound like now. I find that really interesting, like the British accent and the American accent, and like somehow we're connected. But I talk like a mutant. I know that.
well, no, I wouldn't say that at all, John. What I would notice is because my kids watch a lot of American telly because they're
Uh
always
huh.
watching Disney Plus.
Okay.
When they're finishing their sentences, they go up at the end of the sentences, which is not
Okay.
what we
Yeah.
do in the
Yeah.
UK.
Oh, it's funny.
But
My nephew grew up watching the show Peppa Pig.
oh,
And
okay, yeah.
there is a thing in the United States where little children were speaking with this accent, and it was called the Peppa Pig syndrome. And
Oh
there were
no.
children, and my uncle he would call me Uncle John, Uncle John. That's how he would talk. And for a few years, he talked like a British person because he watched that much Peppa Pig.
You talk like a British pig.
Yes, yes.
Thankfully, my kids have grown out of Peppa Pig because I hate Peppa Pig.
Hmm.
I mean, she's a horrible person.
Oh, she's a pig,
Well, she's a pig, but she's
right?
just, yeah. There's actually a Peppa Pig land near where my mum lives down on the south coast of England. We've been there.
Oh, lucky you.
There you go. Yeah.
And there's also a thing called Coco Melon that like
Yes,
hypnotizes children.
that's
Don't
awful.
watch that.
No, that's awful. We've got past Cocomelon as well. Thankfully, I live to tell the tale. Listen, let's finish with the Liberty Bell. And
Yes,
I hadn't appreciated that it didn't ring properly. So the crack in the Liberty Bell was put there on purpose.
the crack in the Liberty Bell is actually a repair.
Hmm.
So there, when the Liberty Bell, it was bought from a foundry. It was made in England. We have 8 bells that were purchased. One bell went to Independence Hall. The rest of the bells made by the same bell maker went to a church steeple in Philadelphia called Christ Church. All of the bells that went to the church still work perfectly to this day. The one that went into the steeple of Independence Hall, the one that we now know as the Liberty Bell, there was malfunctions with it for years. There were two guys named Pass and Stowe. What they did is they figured out that if you put the crack in the bell, and they put like two bolts in it, it would repair the bell so it would ring properly.
Mm-hmm.
But what they didn't figure out was there was actually a real tiny hairline fracture of a crack that was still spreading to this day. And every so often, they'll have somebody like Nelson Mandela or the Dalai Lama. They'll come to Philadelphia and they'll knock on the Liberty Bell, and that's like the only time they really ring it. But the Liberty Bell, yeah, that crack is a repair, and it's an unorthodox way of fixing things.
Well, there you go. I think that just rounds up nicely what we've been talking about. Jon, thank you so much for giving up your time. I really appreciate it.
For you. One question for you, sir.
Go on.
What's a more popular bell, Big Ben or the Liberty Bell?
In this country, I would have to say Big Ben.
Okay, because when the movie came out, I was attacked by so many foreigners who attacked me, saying Big Ben was the most famous bell, and I'm like, I don't think so. I think the Liberty Bell's more known.
Well, we will put that out to our listeners, Jon, as to what is the most famous bell.
Yeah. That make me feel good. Everybody vote for the Liberty Bell.
Okay. Right, we'll wrap it up there, Jon. Thank you so much for coming on. It's been a pleasure.
Hey, thank you.
Keep on keeping on.
You too. Let's go. Right. Go Phillies, guys.
Go Phillies. So there you go. That was Jon McCann. Pick the bones out of that. The crack is a repair. I keep coming back to that line. Jon's story, the breakdown, his parents refusing to give up on him, decades of therapy, and then one social media post that changed a baseball player's career. It's a masterclass in what happens when you choose support over criticism at someone's lowest point. And I think we all know someone who needed that. Maybe we've been that person. So a massive thanks to Jon for being so generous with his time and for being so honest. Go and watch The Turnaround. 25 minutes of feel good, and I guarantee you won't regret it. You can follow Jon on Instagram at The Philly Captain and subscribe to his YouTube channel, which is the same, at Philly Captain. Links will be in the show notes. Now, I mentioned earlier, John Hannah, the other one, not Rebus, he also pointed us in the direction of someone else. And I wanted to mention her because the timing feels important. Jon suggested we speak to Kit Burks just before she set off on Stride Against Silence, which was an 8,500 kilometre solo trek across Europe, from the top of Europe to the bottom of Europe, to raise awareness and funds for suicide prevention. At that time, she had a handful of followers, a plan that sounded almost impossible. By the time this episode goes out, she'll be in Greece, her final country, over a year of walking, and she'll be about a week from the finish line. So, well done, Kit. We've been watching your progress, and it's just been nothing short of phenomenal. One step at a time, and you're nearly there. Go and listen to the episode if you haven't already. And speaking of things that connect in ways that shouldn't, a couple of episodes ago, Paul mentioned some screenwriting awards, which I'd been fortunate enough to do quite well in. What I didn't mention was what that script was about. It's called The Last Rites, and it's a dark comedy about two brothers who bury their dad in the back garden and accidentally start Scotland's dodgiest eco-funeral company. Now, the seed for that idea came from an episode we did with Dr. Richard Smith, Arthur Smith's brother, about the importance of death. Now, if you listen back, you can almost hear the cogs turning live during the conversation. The idea just arrives out of nowhere in real time, and Richard Smith accidentally inspiring a screenplay. Is there such a thing as a coincidence? Or is the universe, once again, just showing off? Now, Swales, the friendly green witch. Hello, Swales. I know she listens. She had something to say, about this after the last episode. Her verdict, and I quote, "No such thing as a coincidence. You know this." Yes, well, Paul's not here to reinforce that view, but it's starting to look that way, isn't it? Who else? Colin. Hello, Colin. Said, following Mr. Hilmey's episode, "What a guy. Is he married? I'm sure my wife would understand." Colin, I admire your commitment. Mr. Hilmey, as far as I'm aware, is taken, but your wife sounds very understanding, and that's a very good sign. One more thing, of course, before I go, we need to settle an argument. Jon McCann is convinced the Liberty Bell is the most famous bell in the world. I disagree. So cast your vote on our Spotify page. The future of transatlantic relations depends on it. What is the world's most famous bell? Is it the Liberty Bell, Big Ben, Taco Bell, or Baby Bell? I don't know. If this episode resonated with you, share it with someone who needs to hear it. And if you want to get in touch, it's sliceofmindcake@gmail.com. As always, thank you for listening. And until next time, you know what I'm going to say. In the words of Dr. Jan, do not be a dick. Ta-ra!